So joining us now is Nigel Bromage, a reformed former leader of British far-right group Combat 18. Good to have you here in the studio to talk to, because I think what we all think in moments, and unfortunately have been so many, when we see the damage extremists can do, is we think, God, what were they thinking? What was in their mind? And of course, you know. So first of all, how did you find yourself in that group in the first place? Because you were very central to it, weren't you?
Yeah, I mean, firstly, I wasn't a leader of Combat 18, but I was a member and a regional organiser. But for myself, I got drawn in because of my hatred of terrorism. So in the 1980s, the IRA were bombing lots of civilians and, you know, cities. And for me, that was the draw in. Somebody gave
So you felt you were standing up to that and found yourself in a group that was very violent?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the idea was actually you were standing up against terrorism, you were supposed to be doing something to defend your country, but actually all you were getting involved in was a grooming process, and these individuals groom you in for one single thing, and it might not be about hate, it might want it to be something the right thing, and then all of a sudden you just get engrossed in this world.
Where did this grooming take place? Because what we're hearing about this guy, Tobias R, as they're calling him in Germany, is that, I mean, we hear a lot of these cases now, that there's an online network that actually exists on a dark web. Now, to most of us, we wouldn't even know how to get onto the dark web. But, I mean, was that prevalent when you were part of Combat 18, or was it more sort of meeting people face-to-face and being groomed in that way?
In my day, it was very much about face-to-face, meeting people on a one-to-one basis. But through our work with Exit UK, you basically help individuals get out of the far right. What we've been told now is 70% of the people that we engage with have been recruited online.
And how does that work?
A lot of time, it's just people who sort of, you know, they're angry about something, they're looking for some information. The next minute, they're scrolling through the internet. And what happens is then there's a call to action, and that call to action then will get somebody to get involved in the group, ask questions. And that's just the very, very start of the process.
Just the idea of getting onto the dark web, it's a only simple thing, but it really gets me. How do they even get onto the dark? You know, how do they
What's
know?
That call to action?
How do they know? Oh, OK, if I want to get involved in this, I've got to get onto the dark web, and this is how I get onto it. Somebody physically has got to be able to tell them that.
The thing
That's
is, well,
the call to action you're talking about that takes you through. Explain that a little bit.
But the thing is, well, it's not just on the dark web. I mean, most people actually get involved just simply by going onto Google or a different sort of, you know, search engine, and all of a sudden they're getting involved with the organisations. And the call to action can be anything from, you know, getting out there, leafleting, recruiting your friends, all the way through to getting involved in direct action and physical violence.
So they respond to an urge, these individuals, of something they're feeling, something's going on in their life, and that leads them into organisation, which then takes them, without realising sometimes, into a dark web and a place they then are lost in.
Very much so. It is just, you've got to understand it's a really slow process. People will get involved in this, and then all of a sudden, from group to group, people will just say, oh, this isn't the group for you, why don't you try another group? And predominantly each group gets more violent and more extreme.
So, sorry. No, you go ahead.
When we talk about far-right extremism then, I mean, because in Germany, for example, there's been attacks against, well, yesterday Muslims, but there's been attacks previously against Jewish people. There's been even attacks against some Christians who are seen as being too liberal.
Yeah.
What's the commonality then? Is it white supremacy? We hear this thing. Is that what it is, the common sort of characteristic to all these far-right groups, do you think?
I mean, with the far right, it's actually split up into three sections. You've got people who are worried about immigration and grooming, who are like cultural nationalists. You've got other people who worry about sort of immigration and change in Western society. And then you've got others who actually believe in white supremacy. And just because of the colour of somebody's skin, which is obviously ridiculous, you know, they feel that they're superior to others.
It's disturbing, isn't it? And you had a moment when you felt this was wrong. Tell us about that moment for you.
I mean, for me, it was over a 3-year period. And, you know, initially the first sort of chink in my armour was my wife at the time gave me an ultimatum. It was Combat 18 or her. And at the time, I believed I was a soldier fighting a war. So I just chose Combat 18 and walked away. But then there was also other things. So there was things about, you know, I was witnessing a lot of violence. I was involved in things which obviously I'm not proud of. But all of a sudden you get to a realisation is actually what I'm doing right. And when, you know, you look at individuals. So for me, it was the pinnacle moment was when there was a black gentleman being attacked in Birmingham City Centre. And it was by 15 Combat 18 members. And for me, when I came out of the meeting, I just walked into this absolute mayhem, and I had to decide then, do I do the right thing and try and stop this or walk away? And for me, I decided to step in and say, to get to this gentleman, you've got to get through me. But the only reason I think that I was actually saved was because I was in a leadership role. I think then they were very reluctant to attack me.
Otherwise, you would have put yourself at direct risk, I'm sure. So the big question now is, how do we stop people getting drawn in? How do we get people out? And I know you've devoted your life to trying to do that now. So what is your view? How does that work?
Well, very much so. So, you know, myself now, I've got an organisation called Exit UK, and we work with Exit Germany, Exit USA, and it's very much about formers being there. We offer a non-judgmental approach, and what we try and talk about actually is what are the issues individuals have got involved with. Because if we don't know the issues, then we can't de-radicalise these individuals. But it's not just about that, it's about them as an individual. You know, we always explain, you've been involved in the far right, but actually, have you stopped one girl getting groomed? Have you stopped one immigrant getting into the country? And these people obviously always say no. But then we'll say, actually, then, you know, you haven't achieved what you want to achieve. So why are you in these organisations?
In the first place, and you start to challenge it. When you look at somewhere like Germany, that has actually very robust laws, very strict, some of the strictest gun control laws in the world, it makes you wonder what can be done on a government and on a wider level to prevent this. Do you know the answer?
It's very much about partnership working. Nobody involved in this sort of arena has the complete answer. So for us, we get people in through the door, we have that trust, but then we'll pass them on to people who might need help with housing, education. It's about sort of finding out the individual's issues and then getting the families involved as well. Lots of people think, oh, you know, parents of people who are involved in these organisations, are they bad? And they aren't.
Yeah, of course.
Because of people who've been involved and got recruited by the internet, we need to educate and train mums and dads how they engage with the loved ones.
And just generally, Nigel, do you agree with the idea that, you know, people are now saying that far-right extremism is on the up and is probably one of the largest threats to Europe and the UK at the moment? Are you seeing that as well?
For myself, I would say, you know, the far right has increased. I mean, 5 years ago, I was working for a local council, really happy in my job, but because I saw the increase in far right extremism, I decided to do something about it. And for me, the more people I talk to, I do see far right increasing. However, we've got to realise it's just a minority, and that's the really important thing to remember.
Of course it is.